Hi, I'm Marilyn from TarotClarity.com, and this is my very first YouTube video on tarot. I've been a reader of tarot for 42 years. This summer is my 42nd year of reading, as a matter of fact. I do have an online presence at TarotClarity.com where I keep a blog, a tarot blog, and also information about myself. And I also have an online presence on Instagram where I'm known as @the_tarot_reader. But I've never contributed my tarot insights on YouTube before, probably because I felt I didn't have anything new to add to the pot. I do enjoy watching YouTube videos, though, because I enjoy seeing side-by-side comparisons of decks on occasion. I also very much enjoy hearing other people's perspectives on certain cards. And, of course, I also enjoy tarot reviews of tarot decks. And I don't think anyone has compared these two tarot decks, LeGrande, Circus and Sideshow, and Tarot of the Zirkus Magi, or Magi, or Magi. I'm not sure how they pronounce it properly. And so I thought, well, maybe that'll be my introduction to the YouTube world, is comparing these two decks, which both have, obviously, a circus theme. Both decks share about the same thickness. Both decks were created by men who had familiarity with the circus. The deck on the left, LeGrande Circus and Sideshow Tarot, was created by a gentleman named Joe Lee, and the one on the right, the Tarot of the Zirkus Magi, was created by Thornsjo. And I apologize if I'm not saying the deck right. I'm going to call it from here on Zirkus Magi. And the one on the left I'm going to refer to as LeGrande. Now, it's my understanding that both gentlemen obviously are artists and both have had exposure to the circus. I don't know that either of them were longtime tarot readers, although I know Thornsjo from Zirkus Magi, was a mysticist. So he is, had been involved with mysticism for many years. I believe he owned several tarot decks. Maybe didn't do a whole lot with them before he created his this tarot deck here. But he immersed himself in understanding and learning about tarot as he created the deck. And I believe the same is true of Joe Lee when he created this tarot deck. Do a side by side. The Fool in both cases is depicted as a clown. The Magician. And you'll notice that in the Zirkus Magi, that Thornsjo decided to rename the cards. The Fool is the clown, and the Magician is the thaumaturge, whereas Joe Lee kept the traditional titles for the cards. Both men have wands. You'll notice also that the Circus Magi is a bit taller than the LeGrande Circus, and the LeGrande Circus is shorter and a bit wider. The High Priestess is named the Popess on the LeGrande, and the Seer in the Circus Magi or Magi. You'll notice that he uses an image of Pamela Coleman Smith as his subject matter that he manipulates, of course, for the High Priestess card, what's traditionally known as the High Priestess card. Here we have the Empress. Now, I like how they have a different perspective on the Empress. In the LeGrande tarot, the Empress is the Earth Mother, kind of, with the rabbits. So she's very fertile, she's large, she's happy, and she's approachable. Whereas the Thornsjo deck depicts the Empress as a leading lady, kind of like a diva. So they have a different feel to them. As do their emperors. One on the left is the emperor, the other is the ringmaster. No one really likes the ringmaster. He's kind of mean, right? but the emperor is not not generally thought of as a mean individual. So, but they both have the I guess there's not too many male characters, like dominantly male characters. There's only one ringmaster, right? So I guess it would be natural for them to create the ringmaster as they both have that in common, as making him the emperor. But we don't go to the circus to see the ringmaster. We go to the circus to see the other the other characters. And I'm not sure that the emperor or the ringmaster, the ringmaster in a circus is generally well liked. He might be a little bit of a taskmaster. So that also brings a different understanding to the emperor when one uses these cards. The Pope, or the Hierophant, here is called the Mystagogue. On the right it's the Mystagogue, and on the left it's the Pope. Kind of like the wise man of the circus. Here we have the Lovers, a pair of clowns. One's with a elephant and the other, I'm not sure what they're doing in the other. They're just having a moment of respite. The Chariot in both, like the Lovers, they retain the title of the traditional deck names. So we have the Chariot. One Chariot on the left by LeGrande is very aggressive, assertive, definitely moving. The one on the right, he's taking his time, taking in the scenery. And so you see how, different decks, especially even if they have a similar subject or a similar theme, different artists project different ideas onto their cards. And you can't have a canned understanding of, any card that you regurgitate, when an image kind of says something else. So, you really have to go with the flow of each deck. Then we have Strength and La Force. And we see that they have both assume number 8 to be the Strength card or the Force card. So they subscribe to the Golden Dawn ordering of the cards. Both have lions, rather traditional, immediately recognizable for what it is. Here we have the Hermit with the Solitarian on the right and the Hermit on the left. They both have a light. One is Uncle Sam, where the guy on stilts, he looks like Uncle Sam, but he's not Uncle Sam. He's just a guy on stilts, and the other guy is a sad clown. We have the Wheel of Fortune, or the Wheel of Fate. What goes around comes around, or what goes up must come down. Sometimes we're on top, sometimes we're on bottom. They both project that thought. And they both have Justice as card 11. One on the high wire, and one as someone who's juggling dangerous objects. Well, a sword certainly is a dangerous object. The baton and the cups are not. And the coin or the ball is not a dangerous object. An adjustment, she's got to make sure she keeps her balance. So they have a similar take on the 11th card. The Hanged Man on both is classic, more or less. I think the one on the right is being depicted by Houdini. I think that's possible. And here we have Death, or known as Mr. Bones on the right. On the left, Death is chasing the clown and terrifying a clown who's generally the one who terrifies us, right? A lot of people are afraid of clowns, so it's kind of interesting that we have Death scaring a clown who looks just like him, as a matter of fact, dressed the same. And on the right, we just have Mr. Bones. He just seems to be rather friendly, a man in costume. Next, we have Temperance, or Art. I don't know if you can hear the ice cream truck outside, but it's playing kind of a calliope type of music, which is kind of appropriate, isn't it? It's funny. Well, the Temperance card in LeGrande reminds me sort of the twins in The Shining, so they sort of have a scary feel to them as they exchange water between their cups. And we have in the Circus Magi, we have an individual juggling. We see the triangle that we often see in the Temperance card. The Devil. I'm sure this is Barnum or Bailey, one of them, the owner. And you see he has his two very famous employees. You know, they probably, the way this card makes me feel is that they feel trapped. There's nothing else for them but their subservience to him. And then here we have a more classic-looking devil. People in bonds and chains. The man, you know, looks mortified, but the woman seems to be enjoying it, so who knows. The Tower, we have the building on the left is really more of a structure that may be something that the acrobats, you know, would jump from or work from, being struck by lightning and then being, you know, falling, you know, being struck from the tower or whatever the structure is to their doom. And then we have on the right the Tower of Destruction, you know, just a building that's top is, the dome is opening up and there doesn't seem to be much violence, but people are upside down and there is a ghoul exiting. Interesting to me that both of these star cards are represented by people hanging. And there are other decks that have the this star card, you know, interpreted in a different way. Although, of course, both of these cards, you know, have a preponderance of stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you consider the larger star in each one of them, there's 8. Here we have the moon. The one on the left has the traditional dogs, canines, with a crawfish, a crayfish, or a lobster coming out of the waters. And in both cases, we have a woman in the moon. And on the right, the moon is depicted by some kind of slithering creature in the sea or coming out of an ocean, or no, I guess a lake, I don't know, with a canine, maybe 2 canines, or a cat and a dog. The Sun is a card that a lot of people enjoy seeing. We have a ring of fire on the left with a tiger jumping through the hoop, and a pair of clowns on the right enjoying a very happy day with sunflowers in the country estate or a country setting where there's water. I guess it's not country because I think there's an ocean in the background, but it looks as though they took their show into a very nice, enjoyable location on the right. And we have Judgment, which on the right is called the Aeon, which subscribes to Aleister Crowley's rendition or version or name for Judgment. They're both quite different. You know, the one on the left is more traditionally not an angel, but a fellow with a horn, and the people cheering him on are, you know, very pleased by his arrival. And the Thornsjo or the Zirkus Magi really has a different feel to it, like a ventriloquist and his dummy. And the World. I think it's interesting. The one on the left, LeGrande, has an elephant shaped like the world. You know, I guess we all go to the circus, I guess, to see the elephants. You know, that was always my favorite part of a circus, was to see the elephants. Even though I know now they won't be, you know, parading the elephants around anymore because they were not treated very well. But they were a favorite feature of the circus for sure. And this Circus Magi has a different take altogether of the world. Above the world. The character is above the world. Now, I think I'm going to stop this here. It's only about 15 minutes or so, because I know, for one, when I watch videos, I get antsy after about 15 or 20 minutes. And so I will continue the process, but I'll do it in increments. So the next one will be comparing the swords, the suit of swords, and then the next one will be comparing the cups, etc., etc. So I'll break it down so that none of these videos are too long. So thank you for your patience in my first video on YouTube, and I hope you come back for more.